right, what's going on? What's going on? Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Troy. It's your boy Sean. Yep, tapped in. So if you're watching this your first time, please hit the like button and the subscribe button, so you know when we got something live coming out. Yeah, we definitely appreciate everybody tuning in. So what's going on, good brother? How you making out? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good, man. We're just trying to take it easy today. You know, not work too hard. That's it. But I mean, you still got to provide and be there. So yeah, we made it happen today. That's it. Well, it's getting closer to Friday, man. Closer to the weekend. Yeah. Well, for some, I mean, I might have to work this weekend. You know what I mean? You know how it is, like a real estate agent, everybody off. You gotta go into work. That's it. When they're available to see properties and stuff like that. So you probably will end up working on Saturday. So today I kind of took it light. You know, I got to work tomorrow as well. But no, everything is good though, man. That's it. Good. That's it. So it's crazy, man, because last week was our anniversary. So last Friday was our anniversary. It's big 2-1. You know, all right. Happy anniversary. Yeah. 21 and 20. Go ahead. 1, man. We grown and we can drink it. That's it. That's it. As far as marriage goes, been together a lot longer than that. But it was great. It was great celebrating it. Went to local resort hotel, and the crazy thing is when we went there. So I had to go early Friday for a board retreat for a board that I'm on. So I was there, and then I came back, picked my wife up, and went back over there for dinner. But while we was there, they had this Indian wedding. All right. So I never seen an Indian wedding before, not even on TV. Maybe like just, like the ceremony, little snippets of it, saw like little rituals and stuff that they did, but didn't know what Indian wedding really entailed. It was, yeah. So I get there, we have our lunch. Mm-hmm. I come out of the room, and all I smell is this Indian food. Smelling all the spices, man, smelling good as a mug in there. Right. And so I walked down there, man, they had this spread. It's probably like 10 dishes. And then they had pastries, and then they had little side dishes and stuff. And so I was I want some of this food so bad, right? And so I went back upstairs and ate our food. But, so what I found out was they got there Thursday, right? And this was just a lunch. So the family who's getting married, their family hosts all of this. So they had breakfast, lunch, dinner, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and brunch on Sunday. Wow. Yeah. The crazy thing about this, they even had, so on Saturday was the day that and they had parties every night. Oh yeah, I've seen that. And they changed the whole ballroom every night. Well, so it was theme based. It was theme based. So Thursday was one thing. Friday was whole nother thing. Saturday was a whole nother thing. And then I was asking the guy, I was like, you guys cooking this here? He was like, yeah, we're making it all here. So they was the catering company that they hired to come in from Jersey, who do these type of weddings. So I asked the guy, I was like, I said, so what, are they having the same thing, for lunch that they had yesterday? He looked at me, he was like, no. You're right. I said, they're not gonna eat the same thing? He was like, no. I said, so do they, any of the meals, do they eat the same thing? He said, no. Every single meal that they had was different. Freshly prepared, different. They never ate the same thing twice. Yeah. So you can imagine how much they had invested in it. Man. Yeah. And so we talk, my wife is in the event planning and stuff like that. So she talks to the event lady, and she goes all up and down pretty much the East Coast doing these. She said it was a luxury wedding. Right. You know what I mean? So and I was like, yeah, no doubt this is a luxury wedding. But and then the other thing was, so you know me, I'm talking about that food. So I tried twice to get a cousin who was working the event, like, yo, can you make me a plate? You know, when they wrapping up. The one girl did, but I couldn't find her after I got done. So that was the lunch on Friday. Right. I was talking about. Then the other girl, she worked the actual dinner on the day of the wedding, so on Saturday. Okay. You know, and the crazy thing about that is they had breakfast and then they had lunch after the wedding. Then they had this break, and then they come back for the reception and cocktail party at like, I think it was 7:00. Oh, they turned up too, though. And dinner wasn't until 9:30. Oh man. Dinner was 9:30 to 12, and then it was the after party from 12 to 2. So it's all day. It's all day. I told my wife when we was going home on Sunday, I was like, man, these people need a vacation from this. But think about this though. You ever been to a wedding, and from the wedding to the reception, like the end of the wedding to the reception, and most weddings, man, you be almost ready to be like, man, do I just want to go to McDonald's, grab something to eat, or do I want to wait? Right. So because they feed them so well, man, it's like, hey, we'll stick around because we already know, what's to come. Yeah, and then the dress thing was different. So like that Thursday when we got there, they had on it was, I guess everybody was in yellow. Well, no, that was Friday actually was there. Everybody was dressed in yellow, and then in like the Indian garb, and then on Saturday, the day of the wedding, that's when they put on that splot. You know what I mean? Right. They fine garments. Garments. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Every color of the rainbow in there. And then after the wedding was over with, and they had that long break, then they changed up, and then they came in like how we would dress for a wedding. You know what I mean? Suits. You know, vest, button up. You know what I mean? And so it was crazy because I felt like we was crashing they wedding like all weekend. Yeah, they would have invited y'all in though, because I've been to a few. I haven't been to the wedding, but the same thing you described, like being at a resort where it was going on, and we've actually been in and like danced with them and things like that. They you know, after a while, the lady told us, she was like the event planner. She was like, yeah, come back in here. And I was like, man, you know what I mean? I just felt like we wasn't dressed right. You know what I mean? If I had on a suit or something like that, I would have went in there. But, you know what I mean? I was dressed pretty casual for the weekend. Let me ask you this though. I know we gotta get on another subject, but so do you think, like, with that, I know either the father of the bride or something like that probably took care of all the expenses. Do you think that was arranged marriage? You think they still doing like their arranged thing? I don't think it was arranged, but no, I don't think that was an arranged marriage, because it was weird, because even in the wedding party, you saw different ethnicities in the wedding party, you know. So I don't think they're still arranging it, but it wouldn't surprise me, man. That wedding and everything was an easy 100. Well, easy 100. Wow, easy 100. Because I talked about the food. I talked about the event planning, them having to change the whole thing. But you figured out they had to have the conference rooms. Oh yeah, all 4 of those days, right? And they had the big ballroom, and then they had another room up there where, like, when they wanted to get waters, they had bottles of waters and stuff there, right. So they didn't have to buy stuff from the resort. Then you had the hotel rooms, right? Then you had the wedding that was outside. Wow. Right? Wow. And then the groom, 9:00 Saturday morning, I hear this bang, 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 these drums. I look at the thing, man, the wedding party outside, they about to party, man. So they party like with the groom and his groomsmen from 9 to about 11:30. I'm talking about DJ playing music, bang drums, put your hands in the air. Okay. I had my hands in the air, you know what I mean? I was like, I want my cousins to see me, man. I was the invite. But nah, it was nice. But it's crazy, and we can jump on another subject. Like, looking at it, seeing all of the, I don't want to say rituals, but the formalities of it, right? And just the cultural richness of it. it made me feel like I was missing something. Like, cause you figure like where we originally come from, we probably had those same kind of rituals and traditions and things like that. And I'm looking at it and I'm like, their their heritage has never been broken, right? So that what happened goes back to as long as they can remember. You know what I mean? And so you figure what would our weddings and things have looked like? And then the wedding, the thing was, it was 400 people. Oh yeah. And it's all family and it was all together from Thursday to Sunday. You know what I mean? And just that togetherness, to be able to have that as part of your cultural environment. I mean, to me, it was like, man, what are we missing out on from not knowing what our true heritage and stuff?
Just the word ceremony altogether, man. Like that. And our original culture and a lot of cultures is huge. That means we ready to go all out, celebrate. So, and I think the way that it's done here in the US is different. It's okay, we're gonna give you a few hours to do this. But they killed the fatted calf back in the day, man. They brought in everybody from villages and villages. So when you do that, it's a big deal. You know what I mean? And I think that makes the day and makes the reunion a lot more memorable too. You know what I mean? Because this is serious. The weight of it. But yeah, I imagine that if we could go back and see how it was done in our culture back in the day, that yeah, we probably did it for 2 or 3 days, something huge. Right now, right? Because you figure to travel to a ceremony. You see how it probably took days to even get there.
Right.
So it's not going to be an hour or two and then you go home. It's like we here, like we gonna
get it done.
Out. Yeah, that's it.
But I mean, like, and that's just that being a tradition. So I mean, like I left there, like, kind of amazed by seeing the whole experience, but then also like, man, what could have been? You know what I mean? What could what culturally did we miss? But that leads me into another thing, man. Like, so as far as like family economics, one of the things that they have, like in their culture, they'll have multiple families. Like they'll build like a second floor, they'll build a third floor, and so you might have the matriarch, patriarch of the family on the first floor. Their kids stay on the second. Build on the second floor. Then their kids come in, build on the third floor. So you had this whole kind of family unit, living within the same building. And what made me think about it is with the cost of living going up so much here, the cost to buy land, the cost to build a house. It's like, what's your thoughts on, like a family compound,
man?
Place where you and all your children and their children, they all stay in this one 10-acre parcel.
Man, it's funny that you said that. I don't have 10 acres, I have 3.5 acres, it's wood or whatnot. But my wife and I talk about this often. Like, we would really be open to doing something like that. I think it's great, man. I mean, everybody pulling the resources together. Now, me personally, I don't know about being under the same roof as the whole family, but on the same property, yeah, I would. I think I would. We would definitely benefit from it. You know what I mean? I could see us doing that, and then even taking it back further. I mean, even more than that. I mean, even starting a farm. You know what I mean? Farm our own land and grow crops and stuff like that. I mean, it's really a lost art that I think we would benefit from. We all would benefit from.
And I think that also the other thing that comes from that is, you think about how you and I grew up, and I would say even more than that, how our parents grew up. It wasn't this big push on monetary success and things like that. So you had families that grew up around each other. People wasn't moving away to pursue careers and stuff like that. And so you had a tighter, like cousins was like brothers and sisters, like the closeness and the love that they had. And it's just like, having a compound or something like that, you almost kind of bring that element back because now you're there, you got your kids there, your grandkids are there, and so you got cousins there that's living on the same property and interacting with each other, and just the richness that they all get
from that and the love that they get from that, the confidence that they get from that, that's something that I certainly would do if I had.
You describing that and me just going back to those days, man, it brought a feeling over me. Just then, just like, man, I remember the days being over Granny house and all of your cousins there. And, it's a day that you went, when your mom said, come on, we gotta leave, let's get in the car. It's like, man, I don't want to go. It's like, and we don't get to enjoy that anymore. Like, I mean, and I feel sorry for some of the young people now, because even down to the holidays, man, I've been seeing Christmas and Thanksgiving thin out,
Right.
where it's down to the point where you and your siblings pretty much had Thanksgiving together. When those was the times when
Everybody. I mean, even if you had family that did relocate, they came from Philly, they came from Ohio, Tennessee, just to be able to spend. And it wasn't like they came there, had dinner and left. Like when they came, they stayed for a couple of days.
oh yeah,
I mean, it wasn't like no in and out. I'm gonna go, eat a plate and we going back. It's like, nah, we locked in.
Yeah, it was like what's that show we used to watch when we was a kid? I used to look forward to that. What is it, National Lampoon? To get in the car, man, get on vacation. And that was exciting too, just getting in the car with the family, going on vacation. I mean, I wonder how much of that affects like the family unit now by not having the patriarchs and matriarchs around and kind of heading up those type things, man, because it's so separated now.
It is, man. I mean, I think anytime you lose a matriarch or a patriarch, the family dynamics change.
Mm-hmm.
Especially a matriarch, because they usually are the glue, that hold everybody together, and everybody put their differences aside, for the sake of this one person and their principles and the morals and and how they, how they want things to be. It's not even necessarily how they want things to be, but the foundation that they laid, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not until that person's gone, and it's just like, for whatever reason, things just don't seem the same, and it could be something that's more psychological, for that person not to be there. But it does seem like in some instances you have people that kind of characteristics that you didn't see before, that they didn't show, and all of a sudden it's like, yo, wait, you start acting like that,
because Big Mama gone now, you done lost. You don't have to respect the house as much. So things coming out your mouth that usually didn't come out.
Right.
You're not tolerating cousin so and so anymore,
right?
Because
you ain't got to answer to this.
Exactly. And back in the day, like you said, that morals and principles, you come as you are. And okay, we knew this one may have addiction, but it's nothing but love when you came through those doors.
Right.
And now we're in a society where we judge, it's judgmental.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, you can come, but it's almost to the point, if I got to clean myself up and come to this event today, I don't want to come because they're going to be looking at me this way.
Right.
And they're not going to accept me the same. So I get that too. But so how do you get, like, whose responsibility is it? Because I know I have, it's four of us, siblings, and then my wife and I think we do a great job of kind of taking over. And, we try to host a lot of things at the house, try to have that Sunday dinner, because my wife's mom, she was big on having Sunday dinner at least once a month. But somebody has to take that responsibility.
Right. And honestly, I think we look for someone, but it takes effort of all of that next generation. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like you with your four siblings, it takes each of y'all giving the best that you can to make sure that your children have the same experiences that you had.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's crazy because I looked at a post and it was saying me and my cousins don't have the same relationship that my mom or my dad and their cousins had because somebody said something one time and now they don't want to be around the family. Right? You know what I mean? So it's just like, when we talk about the matriarch of the family, like because that's the mother of all of the siblings, even if something's going on between the siblings, you still got to go back home with mom or dad.
Right.
And so that's going to hold y'all all together. Once that's gone, now it's up to you to be the responsible person and kind of take that same kind of role, because, Big Mama's like that because she was the last one left.
Right.
Right. You know what I mean? So it might not always been that way, but as people started, transitioning, it's just her left and she holding everything together. And it's just like, we got to have that same approach to where, okay, we're going to sacrifice because that's what it takes. It just don't happen. You know what I mean? It takes sacrifice to be able to bring to say, okay, I'm not going to let this thing get in the way of us moving together as a family, but more so for my children to have a relationship with their cousins, right? To be able to know who they are, not just by name, but actually know them, because when it's all said and done, I always say, I say it in prayer. There's something that I always, for myself and for my kids is, to always have one true friend, at least one true friend, right? That you can rely on and believe in, and who's going to have your back, who isn't going to judge you, but be honest with you about whatever, right?
Yeah.
So one true friend and one true family, right?
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to have a whole bunch, but if you got just one, it's enough.
That's
right.
it.
Because you need to have somebody that you got your back in your best interest, because that's also what keeps you grounded and centered too.
Right.
You know what I mean? To have a safe space. And so that's one thing that I always say, one true friend, one true friend.
I like that. I like that concept. And for me personally, I would broaden it just a little bit. I mean, that's great. I mean, that's a great start. One, you need that. Everybody need that. But the way I I have a few good friends and I have a few people I can confide in, but all for different things. You know what I mean? I might, if I have some financial, questions, if I got a set of people I would talk to, I can't go to that same person that maybe prays for me the hardest,
right?
But they're not financially responsible. I can't talk to them about that. So it's just like knowing who I can go to in certain times and seeking that wise counsel. But it's good to have those people in your corner.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and we all need those people. And it's weird that you say that because, even with me, the friends that I have, there's certain friends I talk to about some things and other ones that I talk to about other things, and it's just because the dynamic of the relationship, is different. And like you said, that they all have different skill sets, right? So I certainly agree with you on that one, man. So like one of the other things that I've been thinking about, which is actually something that kind of I've been going, I'm not gonna say going through, but feeling, which is burnout, right? From just the day-to-day grind of being just working to provide for your family, to being the leader of your family, to being a husband to your wife, to be a father to your kids, to be a leader in your in the community and show up for the responsibilities that you signed up for. But also knowing that you're human, and that you do need time to. And I think it's probably harder for me because I've always been self-employed. So that if you got 3 weeks of vacation, if you don't use it, you lose it. That kind of force you to take a vacation, right? But like being self-employed, it's always like go. I'm gotta build. And then you find yourself in a place where just the small, and I know when it happens to me is when the small, minute tasks that shouldn't bother me become frustrating, right?
Right.
And it take me longer to do something that seems so simple, but it's just like, why does this feel like it's taking so long?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with it? How do you approach it, man?
Several different ways, and it depends on what level of burnout you get to. Sometimes I can see myself becoming burned out because I do wear a lot of different hats too, you know, because got my hands in a lot of different things. And lots of times when I start to bring work home with me, and you know, when I clock out or when I close my business at night, and if I'm still focused on that and I can't dedicate my time to a conversation with my wife, or if the phone ring and it's one of my kids, I'm short with them. Say, wait a minute, man, you're doing too much. It's time to slow down. So then I start to make conscious efforts, man, to take those breaks. First, when I first noticed it, I find spots. I said, okay, well, maybe I got a 2 days weekend. Maybe I'll take Monday off and get this whole 3-day weekend in. And me and my wife, we like to get away. Sometimes it don't even have to be a trip. You know, it could be, let's go out of town, grab a room and just relax, you know. And then when it gets to the point where I just don't want to do people right now because I'm too burned out, because you do get that burned out too, then it's time just to fall back from everything. And I've learned over the last few years, I take time to myself, and that time looks different for everybody. Like, because I go so hard, and we're in a society now where if you're not going hard, you're not doing nothing. So it's almost like you ripping, running. Man, I'll take a whole month to myself and say, I'm not punching the clock. I'm not doing it. I'm just going to relax and do what I do. And I've been blessed enough to be able to do that. And I think everybody need to be able to find that time, man, just to unwind and get back to yourself. It's just like when your phone start to die out and get down to a low percentage, you got to put it on a charger. Yeah. So you got to find that thing that charge you up and get you back.
It's crazy, man, because I asked that question. I know some of the things that you do. And one of the things, man, like, honestly, that's on my to-do. That's what I'm working for next year, is that long extended break where it's just like, nah, this is time for me and my family.
Yeah.
And I'm going to unplug, and actually it's like an unplug and reconnect the things that really, the things that I'm doing all this for, and the things that make me happy. And so, like, for you, I know you mentioned, you know, you like to get away, take a trip somewhere, you know, a hotel or whatever. But like, what other things do you do to get you kind of back on track? You know, like activities or interests or something.
I tell you what, man. Wow, I just thought about this. My dad, rest in peace, he passed away October 11th, 11 years ago. I mean, it might be 12 now. But one of our bonding things was shooting pool. He loved to play pool. You know, we would get together sometime on weekends, and I continue with that. So I put that on my schedule, and that's every week. Every Wednesday night, I'm going to go shoot pool. And it's almost like I have to do it. But during those 2 hours that I'm shooting, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm not thinking about business. I'm not thinking about how I'm going to solve this issue. So, and that helps. And then I enjoy the gun range. You know, I enjoy the gun range because that's another thing. When you out there on the range, sometimes you got to find things that you enjoy doing, but still you have to focus. Because when you out there, you have to be focused. Right. So I don't have time to be thinking about my problems or stressors. I'm out there focusing on what I got to do. And so just those little things. And I think every man and woman have to find those things that they enjoy doing for themselves. Now, this thing that I do for myself. And now this one might not be too healthy, but shopping online. I want to listen, bro, man, I get on, I'll fill up a cart and won't even cash it out. But it's peaceful for me just to stroll through.
I know somebody like that, man. I ain't gonna mention no names, but I know somebody like that.
But it works for me. And then, like I said, just spending time with the family, man. But when I do those small things, it makes me better for the family when I return. So now I done had my time. So what do you do?
Man, it's crazy, man, because I felt like you was gonna ask me that question. I was like, man, what do I do? And now thinking about it, the things I like to do, I haven't been doing. So like one of the things I like to do, because you mentioned 2 hours. So, you know, I would, we don't have access to the gym like we used to, but I would play basketball. And, you know, like that's the one thing, like that was my first love.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I tell everybody, my wife, everybody, like that's the first thing I fell in love with, basketball. So playing basketball is something that I never think about anything else when I'm doing that. The other thing is playing golf, right? So golf, if you play 9 holes, it usually take about 2 hours. If you play a full round, it's 4 hours, right? Now golf is tricky because you can be playing good, and then all of a sudden you start playing bad, and what's supposed to be relaxing you, you start getting mad. You know what I mean? So it's a thin line, but just the thought of being able to go out to play golf, that's one thing. And then the other thing, man, I like working with my hands. Okay. So like a couple weeks ago when I was remodeling the barber side of the shop, like from Saturday evening to Monday, I was locked in, and I wasn't thinking about nothing but getting that project done. You know what I mean? And I was dialed in. And it's so much to the fact where it almost I feel like sometimes get too focused because I get thinking about, I got to get this done. And so I overwork doing that just to get to the finished product that I see in my head. And like, okay, that's the revolving door. Because even though it started off as something that, it's a goal and it's something you want to do, but we all set our goals. And then when we start to see ourselves getting closer, that overwork piece come in, and then it leads to burnout. So it's about a balance, just like everything else in life is finding that balance. And I sit back sometimes, and everybody has their own threshold. They know that threshold, but I'll talk to my wife sometime. I'll see her and stacking her plate, and she's good at a lot of things. She's efficient in what she does, but time don't always allow for everything. And she'll get a call and this how the comments about, oh yeah, I could do that. And I'm starting to think, didn't you just say you got this next week, this? Right. And I already know where that's going to lead. Right. So I was like, look, babe, you're going to have to, and it's just learning how to pull back and learning that it's okay to say no. Right. Because, we get a lot of invites to things and you want to show up for people, want to be there, but it's important to show up for yourself first. And sometimes it's good to say, you know what, this weekend, we're not doing anything. Right. And then it might fall on a weekend where your buddy is having this or having that, but this weekend we're not going to do anything because if you go through this weekend super busy, then guess what? You want right back into the work week. Yeah, and then you're starting it all over again. So so that's honestly for me, that's something that I want to work on. Of doing a little bit better job of that. You know what I mean? Because I feel like it's when you think you're doing the best thing for you and your family, but it's actually, taking you to a place where it's like, man, you just feel drained. It's like, that's not, how can you show up being your best?
That's it.
You know what I mean? And so that's the thing that, one of the things that I want to focus on, moving forward for me, personally.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And with that, I'm going to add this too, because you do so much for your family and you say, okay, I'm doing this, for them. And you start to focus on the kids, you start to focus on the household, things like that. But in reality, time is moving. So these kids are grown now. So now they're getting their own hobbies. They're getting their own places they like to go. And if you're not careful, you'll lose yourself over that period of time. And time, we're empty nesters now. I say, hey, what do we like to do? What are we, what do we have in common? Because you spend so much time focusing. So that balance, like I said earlier, is key.
Cool.
Yeah, it's good.
So you had mentioned to me, I guess it was last week, you was, at a function. He's like, man, what do you think I should do, man? Where you was at an event when you felt like, I think you said some kids being disrespectful. And how do you approach that?
Bro, man, it was bad. Listen, I went to a football game. Mind you, I hadn't been to a high school football game in a while. I enjoyed it. It was a great game. But man, it was some kids, a group of kids sitting behind me. And the oldest one couldn't be more than 14. The youngest 8. And the things that were coming out of their mouth, I'm talking about nonstop. Like, I get it. I'm not too far removed where I know you get some free time away from home. That's when you get your little curse words out or whatever. So I'm not tough skin. I could take that. But the things that was coming out of their mouth, now I was cringing, and I got to the point. I looked over. My son was with me, and we was looking. You hear that? And I was like, make sure I heard it. So then what happened was it was really getting under my skin, man. And I was like, man, these are other people's kids. I really don't want to get involved. But we talked about this last week. It starts with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't sit here and not say anything. And I think the final straw was it was some group of kids walked by and some heavyset kids. Man, they went in on the jokes and loud where everybody here. And I just turned around and said, listen. So y'all got to cut that out. I said, this ain't what you do. I wanted to ask them who was their parents. I'm getting old, man. Right. I felt like, who your mom, who your dad? But then they start looking at me, I'm sorry, and that's all it took.
Right.
But if I had not said nothing, it would have kept going.
Right. And it's crazy, man, because it goes back to, it really goes back to the parent, right? So, like, there's a different scenario. Like, if you've seen one of my kids, and you know how, my character, how I carry myself, and how I'm trying to raise my kids. If you've seen one of my kids acting crazy, you don't have a problem going up to them, like, yo, man, like,
oh yeah, because I know you, and I know what you stand for,
right?
And I know for a fact. So I'll say, no, Sean wouldn't have this,
right? But then you got some parents that, can be selfish, right? You know what I mean? And, they, as long as they not in their hair, you know what I mean? And they can do what they want to do, you know what I mean? It's just like, whatever, I'm not going to say whatever because it sounds callous, but it's just like their goals and what they want to accomplish is more than parenting and raising their child. And then that comes off where the child has lack of respect for the parent, right? And so then it puts you in a situation where you're encountering that, and you don't know if that child is used to being, it's not even being disciplined, but even being challenged by an adult, right?
Right.
Because it's the natural order of it. Now, there's so many instances that are like that where, where kids know they're doing something that they're not supposed to be doing. Like, in that sense, acting like an adult when they know they're not an adult. Right. And it almost takes the adult to actually be the adult in that scenario. I'm like, hey, that's it. You guys can't be doing that. You know what I mean? You got a bunch of older people out here, and now it's about respect. I'm not sitting here cussing and, talking reckless to you, you know what I mean? Or around you. I'm showing you a level of respect. I expect the same thing. You know what I mean? From you. And like a lot of times they're looking for somebody to actually feel and step into that role, but they don't even know it.
Exactly.
Because when they get checked, you said that the response was, oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Right. They just want to see how far they can get with it. Right. But it's a risk to it sometimes because, again, looking at that crowd, you had some young females, you had some little boys, but now you take that and it's all 14-year-old boys there at the time. You run the risk of them try to disrespect you. Right. And now I'm in a situation, do I just let this roll off my back or do I really put you in your place? Right. Because it becomes that, and I'm like, man, do I really want to step in and do that? And I think that's why a lot of people choose not to get involved. They don't want that they don't want to get in that confrontation. But I think at this point, man, I'm all for it because it's not just you, your representation of us, of my kids, of, the next person kids, you're representing, and we live in a time where you're lumped together. You're lumped together. So when they see these set of kids acting up, the next ones that's walking by, that's not doing anything because they look the same, and they're walking in a group, they're going to look at them and they're going to be judged off of their actions.
And it's crazy, man, because I think the last conversation that I had to a young group of kids was on I can't even remember what it was, but what I used was what I do on a daily basis. Like the places that I show up in, the way that I present myself, and how I'm trying to make their life easier. So that when they get my age and somebody sees them, it's like, oh, he reminds me of Sean, or he looks like Sean. And to give them a better opportunity and to be able to get in more spaces. Like for me, I want to get into as many places that I can get the keys and unlock the door for you, and you can walk in. But you acting this way, like you defeating the purpose of me even doing it, because you're not even carrying yourself in a way where you ever even get to that door, right? And then, like you said, they're lumping them together. So now, the children that I'm raising are being lumped in with disrespectful kids, right? It's like, no, they're not the same. Well, show me they're not, right?
Right. That's it.
Show me they're not the same. And so that's the tough part of it. Obviously we can't change the world, but it really is, it's crazy because there's so many dynamics to it, where you have it, but then it also comes to, a parent, because that very well could have been a situation where, the kid was like, oh, he's trying to tell me what to do, go back and tell a parent. And it's like, who are you to talk to my, and it's like, that comes to a level of, what's the word I'm looking for? Maturity, right? And just common sense. Like your child was up here cussing and, talking like a sailor, and you expect for us to just sit here and just not say nothing. And not be respectful. And it's like, come on now, we can't do that.
And that when parents do respond in that manner, it shows me that they allow it. That's what they're used to, right? And that's why these kids are comfortable. And then at that point, you almost start feeling sorry for the kid, because if I can't tell you kid nothing, you can't tell you kid nothing. And guess what? They're going to go to a place where somebody's going to tell you something. They're going to tell you everything. They're going to tell you when to eat, when to sleep, when to move. And that's why you see the prison systems so overpopulated now.
Right.
Because
I think it's lack of parenting.
Lack of parenting and lack of community stepping in. So I think I just answered my own question. I think we do have a responsibility to step in, not go out of our way, but when it's presented to us and we're in these closed atmospheres or closed, I'm gonna speak up, because I'd rather for them to hear from somebody saying it from a place of love than from them hearing it somebody that's just there to get a paycheck and they could care less. You're just a number, and this is what you're gonna do because I said so.
Right. And so it's crazy, man, because that's one of the reasons why I always coach youth basketball and flag football, was because, like, the example that I had with Big Jeff, like everybody who played basketball and came through Seaford knew who Big Jeff was, right? And it was just like he could talk to you because you've seen him in the community all the time, right? But he's not coming from a bad place. So kids would have respect. Kids that might not even respect the parents respected him because of the opportunities it gave him to be able to go play basketball, but because he was consistent, right? He was consistently seen in the neighborhood or in or around those kids. And so if he's at a place and he's seeing some kids acting the way that they shouldn't, it was easy for him to be like, hey, y'all cut it out. You know what I mean? And, for me, when you talk about community, it's weird because there's two different things. It's like if I'm home and it's my community, most of the time I've seen those kids because I try to be involved in the community. Same as you. And so like that commitment to being in the community gives you that access to be able to do that.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Now, where it could be a little tricky is if you, in another state, in another environment, and it's like these are kids that you don't even know. Am I saying don't say anything to them? No, I'm not saying that. But the level of access that you get from being involved in that community, it carries a little bit. It carries weight, right? Because they know you're not just trying to pop off on them or embarrass them. It's just like, no, we're just trying to teach you respect. Respect.
True. And I think we have to earn a right to get into some of these neighborhoods and to be able to talk to certain kids. You do have to earn a right. I mean, I even look at that even in all types of sectors. I mean, even pastors. That's one of the big ones I look at because I know when I was younger in the cities and stuff like that, like the pastors I knew, they was involved with the community. So when there was a crime, let's say somebody down the street had to turn themselves in, the pastor on the front end had earned the right to go into that community and say, you know what, I know his mom, I'm going to take him down to the precinct. We're going to go together because they're involved. But I feel like now, because everything is done inside the walls, well, it's a few, and forgive me if I'm, not even thinking clearly, because it's a lot of pastors that are in the community, but it's almost like it's a detachment. So they don't know the names. They don't know the people. So when something happens, they don't have access to be able to go in and say, you know what, I'm going to set up a Tuesday night prayer in the hood, or I'm going to, because you haven't been around.
Right.
And you have to make yourself present to be able to do that. So we have to find ways to get back in the community so that we can be effective. Because like you said, they have to see you. They have to see you. They have to see your face. They have to know that you're not coming in on some big dog type stuff. Oh, y'all, no. It's because you seen me during the week and I said hi to you, dapped you up, and you know what I mean? I respected you. So now you know I'm coming in peace and with some respect. But I think our presence have to be there.
Man, it's crazy because that was one of the things I thought about talking about today. But I was like, maybe not. But since you bring it up, man, one of the churches that I went to, we're talking about the 7 days. Or 7 days in between, or 6 days between service on Sunday and when you come back again, and the work you do in those days, right? And in our communities, how much more impactful could some churches be, or not even some churches, the church, right? We're just gonna say the church.
Right.
How much more impactful could the church be in our communities if they went out to find those people who needed their help the most?
That's the key. That's where you get the most impact at, is the hedges and the highways.
Right.
Again, I don't want to get preachy and all that, but we know that we fellowship to draw strength from one another, and you brush up on your knowledge. But when you gain those tools, they're useless unless you're using them.
Right.
I mean, if I put a screwdriver up in my tool cabinet, it's a screwdriver, but it's not doing it. It's useless until I pick it up and actually start to use it. So you can sit behind the walls for 20 years, but if you're not applying what you're learning and taking it out and being effective in the communities, and then I think more people would be prone to come. They're not going to come if they don't know what they're coming to. But if you're out in the community and you're seeking those people and they say, oh, I know that guy, he cool, he helped me. He the one took me here. Oh, he the one helped me get this job over here. Or he helped me fill this application. He helped me do this. Oh, I'll come over there with him because they don't mind. But it takes sacrifice on both sides.
Right. Yeah. And you mentioned a key word is help, right? Like if you're looking to help somebody, you're trying to show them something different than what they're receiving, right? Or you're trying to give them access to something that they don't have. And that's not a pass to beat them over the head with where they are or what they're doing. It's an opportunity for you to be able to build a relationship, to get the access, to be able to make the change, right? But I mean, because that's really what it boils down to, is helping. I mean, us being able to help one another.
Right.
Whatever our strengths or whatever we have access to help people. Like for you, It could be a homeless person that you see that, dead in the wintertime, they walk around and they don't have no coat. And you're like, man, I was ready to get his coat away. You know what I mean? Like, hey, here's this coat. Or, it could be some, they need food. You know what I mean? Hey, I got this food that I really don't have to have it, but you know what I mean? You can have, you can have it. So just finding the tools in your toolbox, right? And using them when you see an opportunity for them to be used. And it doesn't mean that you have to have it, but you can just point out to the resources that it might be able to help.
So that kind of go with what we talked about earlier. We talked about the matriarchs, the patriarchs, the older generation. And if you look at a lot of the churches now, they're aging. They're aging physically, mentally. I don't know if they even connected with all the new slang. So again, that puts the responsibility back on the younger generation, to be able to be effective. And that it ties in what we said earlier, the burnout, the being busy. We got to unbusy ourselves enough so we can be available. See, because that's one of the main things that we encounter. We're not available. A lot of people want to do things, want to do good, want to help, but they can't find the time because at the same time we're grinding. We're told if you're not up grinding, you're not doing nothing. You got to grind, right? Yeah.
And what happens when you grind too much?
You need nothing left. Nothing left.
There's nothing left.
That's it. It's nothing left, man. So we touched on something a little bit earlier, man. We're talking about the cycle of recidivism in prison. So like just the scenario of the young generation, if they don't want to listen, eventually there'll be somebody that they'll meet and they'll tell them what they want them to do, and they ain't got no choice but to listen. So like as far as our prison system, man, what do you think some of the major contributors are for recidivism?
I think it's complex because it's systematic. It's definitely systemic, but at the same time, it's a personal responsibility too. So you take somebody who's been incarcerated a minimum of 2 to 3 years. So during that time, they probably lost driving privileges. If they done that kind of time, then 9 times out of 10, they picked up the felony. So on their release, they're told, okay, first you got to get a job. That's challenging all by itself because getting that job, you had this felony on your record. It's getting better, a little bit better now, but it's not that easy to get the type of job that you need. So now when I get this job, you're telling me I got to go to probation 2 times a week. I got to go to this meeting and that meeting, but you took my license. So I got to rely on somebody else to get me to these places.
Especially in a rural place like what we're
right. We don't have transportation running like that. So if I can't make this appointment based off of somebody else, you don't want to hear that, oh, my ride didn't show up. That's a fine. Or you put me back over the fence. Then on top of that, I just got this job. We all know the first 60 to 90 days, I got to be here. So how can I go into your job and say, hey, I got to be to these 3 meetings. You schedule these meetings the same time I got to be to work. And you can't tell me that's not a flawed system. It's almost a recipe. And then the money that they want. So the fines, you got to pay for this class. You got to get your license back. You got to do this. Okay. But the job that I'm going to get is not covering that. And mind you, some of these are adult people with kids, with, families. So now I'm making X amount of hours. I'm a felon, but I know how to get the money I need. I don't want to go back this route, but everything. Now, I've seen plenty of people endure that process, and it's hard, and build a skill. But I think it's just the system is stacked against them so much that a lot of people are not up to that challenge. So it's like a revolving door. It's a revolving door because I'm gonna do good for a while, but a man is only gonna be broke for so long, right? Yeah.
And it's crazy, man, because like even listening to you go through that process of more likely things that need to happen, if you don't have a strong support system, behind you to help get you through that, it's very easy to wind right back up for things that's really that's out of your control, right? Like transportation, or I mean, you figure if you work in a job, the type of job that you got to get is probably going to be minimum wage, right? So then you also need a place to stay. So on minimum wage, trying to find a place to stay in this environment that you can afford, it's tough. I mean, you have to have some kind of address for the PO to be able to check, to check up on you. And so it's like, man, I ain't making enough money to get a place. I can't find anywhere to stay or put as my address. And so now it's like, okay, well, we can come back over here then. Right. You know what I mean? It's just like, again, it's a system that certainly needs some redefining, and certainly needs people who have been involved or been a part of that system should be part of the solution to that. Right. Not me. I haven't been a part of that. Thank God. But for the people, the touch points and the triggers that they face while trying to journey through to get on that other side, like like certain things, like, okay, well, why don't, trades, how important trades are, right? Why not provide these guys with trade skills while they inside that they can actually use and apply? Because most, in some cases you got new construction, there's nobody there. So it's not going to be an issue for them to be in there doing work because there's nobody there, right? And the trade provide an access for you to be able to get skilled enough where you can start your own business. If you start your own business, then there's no background check that you need to go through, to be able to start, and be able to provide pathways from there. And even just like the access to, GEDs or continued education, like as far as, associate's degrees and things like that. If you know that these guys are all guys and women are going to have these obstacles in front of them, why not try to, for the ones that are applying themselves and want to do that, why not provide that opportunity for them so that they don't come?
Well, and without getting too deep, it's funny that you mentioned that, because when you take a privatized prison, state prison or whatever, those programs aren't funded. And listen, they get paid per inmate, and it's a good, you get paid a lot to house an inmate, you know what I mean? Right. But when you take someone and you put them in a federal penitentiary, now everything that you just mentioned is provided to them. Yeah, you go to the feds, you come out with a skill. I mean, you go culinary, you can actually come out with a bachelor's degree from being in, so they provide all that. And I think, I don't know the science behind it. Now, I really don't know why, but I know these people, most times you go to the Fed, you was top, you was top tier, and they know that you got a brain. You can think. They're like, we don't give this guy a skill, he's going to get out and he's possibly going to be right back at the top of the food chain. Might even be higher than what he was. Yeah, because you're in there with a bunch of people that was on that level. But it's just different on that level. So it's levels of everything, man. I mean, you sit in a prison 3-4 years and come home and you're not even rehabbed. A lot of people come home and within the first month, they're back addicted to whatever because it's inside of the prison. Yeah. So yeah, it's a lot that has to be looked at. And because I've had so many people around me that has been affected by it, and I've been affected by it, in my own, my family, I fought a few cases myself. And again, it comes down to money too. Right. So I've been blessed, to be far removed from that now, but it's still a problem that exists, and I'm a big second chance type person. Man. Yeah. I love to see somebody come back and fight hard. I just feel that it should be more opportunities, man, a little more leniency for somebody that's actually trying. Yeah. And if you're the person that's doing the monitoring, you could tell somebody who's really trying and putting effort into becoming a better person than somebody who say, "Hey, I'm just going to play this game." And I think it shouldn't just be one way,
Right.
for everybody.
Yeah. And I mean, and then when you stack on that, like the rate in the last, what, 20 years, the rate at which technology has changed, right? You know, so somebody who, like, the skills that are needed to even navigate through that, you know, if you went to jail 3 years ago and you had got a 5-year bid or 3-year bid, and you come out now, man, your phone can do everything. You know what I mean? I mean, you use Chat GPT or, you know what I mean, something like that, and like literally can tell you anything that you need to know how to do, where to find it. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's almost put some things or skills as obsolete.
Yeah.
Right? Because now you got computers that can do all that.
But the fear factor that come with that too, man, it's funny you said that because I was in Wawa just a few months back, and I seen a guy, and I had ordered my food. I went in, it was on the screen. I'm moving in the morning. I seen him just standing there, and I could tell by his clothes that he wasn't really from around here. You know, you can just tell somebody that's not used to the area, and I kind of kept my eye on him a little bit. So finally, man, I was standing waiting for him to call my number, and I talked to him. He said, "Man, I'm just waiting. I'm trying to get me a sandwich." I said, "Oh, you gotta, use the thing." He said, "Man, I don't know how to use that. I've been locked up 20 years." He was just released. He didn't know how to order a sandwich. He said, "Man, I got a cell phone, but I don't know how to use it." Man, he was terrified. I'm like, man, you don't think about that aspect of it. Like, he came home, man, he was like, what in the world's going on? He waiting for somebody to take his order.
So he had 20 years. So that was like 2004 that he went in.
Yeah. So,
I mean, you think life changed that much?
Oh, yeah.
In 20 years.
Yeah, he didn't even recognize the town that he came from because all the construction and everything has changed, just the landscape in itself. And yeah, he was on his way to get on a bus. He said, "Man, I'm going down." I think he was going to Carolina or somewhere. And I said, "Bro, man, I'm praying, man, that all goes well for you." But in a lot of cases like that, I've heard of a lot of them who just say, "You know what? I'd rather go back. I'd rather go back behind the walls because too much to figure out." Wow. Can you imagine getting in the car, sitting down for 10 minutes, trying to find the keyhole and realize all you got to do is push a button, but you've been
yeah, man, that's crazy, man.
Yeah,
and then start driving, and the car start drifting, and you feel the wheel.
Oh man, you better
jump back. What the world going on, man? Yeah. So it's crazy, man. A lot of work to be done on that, though, man. Yeah, a lot of work to be done. So I guess on a little bit lighter note, man, I want to wrap up on this one question because we were listening to some music before we came on, man. So, like with the culture, man, with hip hop, what's your take on J. Cole deciding to back out of the battle, man, or proceed, however you want to say it,
I think J. Cole is a man that's secure in his self enough to do it. I think it's a great decision, man, for him because you don't never want to do anything outside of yourself, what you want to do. You don't want, we're too old for peer pressure, even though it happens. Right? You don't want to be peer pressure because we know he had a verse, man. I think we was listening to it earlier. He said something, man, this was like, wow. He said something about, man, I don't want to quote it wrong, but he was like, even though if you have a gun and don't use it, it's still deadly. And he said his friend told him, "You're that gun." He was like, "But I don't want to be that." You know what I mean? Right. So basically, man, just because I can kill you guys on these tracks, for what? I'm going to gain an enemy, and we're about peace. You know what I mean? Right. And we've seen where a lot of these beefs turn into something way more, something big. And at this point, he's already established. I don't think he would found too much to gain.
You know, it's crazy, man, because I've been sitting in this and living through it for these last couple of months. I mean, and like the more, it wasn't until today that I was like, I don't think anything's more hip hop than that. like the culture. You think about how we started. You know what I mean? We took something from nothing and we did it because it's something that we loved, right? We didn't do it to, like, some people might have, there is that battle rap scene, right? That evolved out of rap. You know, so some guys get into rap because they just want to put fly lines together, right? Some guys start rapping because they want to tell a story, right? Some guys get into rapping because they do want to battle rap, right? And none of, you know what I mean, nothing is wrong with any of them, right? But, you know, in that same song, he's like, man, I had to think about why I even got into this. Right. I got into this because I just wanted to be the best rapper. That's not for me to decide. That's for my peers to decide by the words I put on display. I don't got it. Right. What are you for what? For who? Right. Let's put our line. Let's put our bars up. Bar for bar. I don't got to see nothing about your mom, your wife, your kids. No. Let's just put some bars up, put some bodies of work up, and let them decide.
And that's almost battling by not battling, though, because in the art of war, man, you don't engage unworthy opponent. So by saying, hey, I'm not going to, you know, battle you, sometimes it's saying, man, you ain't worthy of the battle.
Right.
You know? But I mean, it's entertaining. Yeah, it's entertaining. And there's nothing wrong with a healthy back and forth every now and again, because you stay sharp and hone your skills, you know what I mean? But it can elevate quick too. And I think he know that. And sometimes it'll become bigger than this number. It'll become LA against New York. It becomes this, and he'll be responsible for it. Right. So he's looking at the big picture.
And you've seen it. You've seen this thing play out multiple times, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I could choose to, because at that point in time you're choosing to engage in it, you know, and you know, regardless of what anybody said, because sometimes it might not be the rapper that you're battling against. It's one of his fans.
Oh yeah.
Or somebody in his crew who can't separate the lines between the words being words and like, oh no, we gotta take this one serious, you know. And it's just like, nah, I'm not even gonna get into that where you can even take my words and make.
Oh yeah, because your goons, every rapper got goons. I mean, you got your goons, and they'll take it because that's the only time they get active,
right?
You know, and they waiting for an opportunity to get out. He said, "What? When? Okay, now it's time." And then that's a whole different, you know. And we've seen that with Pop, Biggie, and you know, all.
And I mean, it's like that's not what it started off being. You know what I mean? That's not what the culture started off being, man. We was doing something different against the grain. I mean, you think about it, they was like, oh, this will never last. This rapping thing will be around. But it wasn't just, I mean, and that's the other thing, man, is like, there's so many elements of the culture that seem to be missing, like from the beginning. So you think about, if you look at like early 80s video. When you saw the gear, it wasn't, you ain't see a whole bunch of Nike. Like you would see Saucony's, you would see Adidas, you would see Asics, you'd see
Diodors, yeah.
I mean, like the name of the clothes didn't matter. It was how you rock the clothes, right?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like
personality.
Personality and swag that you had with the clothes. It wasn't like you had the latest Jordans and you look like whatever from the feet up. Right. It's like, if I got on these Jordans, I'm straight. You know what I mean? It's like back in the day, but you know what I mean? Like when hip hop was evolving, it was about how much of an individual can you be, right? Be the best version of you. Don't be trying to look like somebody else.
And even with that, just thinking, because I was like visualizing the videos. Most of the videos were party scenes. We're in the front of our building. We're dancing. We're having a neighborhood barbecue. It was unity.
You with your girl,
it's dudes and they, you know what I mean, howling at some girl. You know what I mean? Like, even to the point where LL Cool J came out with "I Need Love," like it was love songs, even rapping. You know, man, you can't even find a song now whether you say, you know what I mean? And then he go from that to "I'm back." Yeah, right. Like I'm both. Right. I'm LL, ladies love, and I'm also right. I'm back. Right? You know, it was a battle. Yeah. So I mean, but that was his. That was the dynamic. But even the other elements of it, man. So you think about the elements. It was breakdance. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It was rap. It was graffiti. Oh yeah. And what was the other element? Mm-hmm. Oh, clothes, style. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, those kind of was like the four elements, and it was all about being different and being an individual. You know what I mean? And it's just like, and if you was rapping, you wasn't trying to sound like nobody else. That's it. And you wanted to be original, and be who you were, man. So I would love to see all of those elements kind of come back and kind of flourish. Man, because you know, even on artists, like as far as like graffiti and art, right? You know what I mean? Like I would like to see a lot more people in our culture be doing stuff around that, you know, showing that creative side. I mean, because there's no reason why you can have these, you know, portraits in these museums that are worth millions of dollars. It's still guys out here that got that same, and girls that got that same talent that could be doing that now, and we in our culture could be supporting that. Oh yeah, you know absolutely, I mean? And it's still part of hip hop. It is hip hop, you know. And I think we should have a foothold on those type of industries anyway. Because I mean, even the hair industry. I mean, you know, I think design is coming back because you know we have we're positioned in some places where you can create a little bit more. So with the clothing designs, I see a lot of more Black ownership there. Not just Black, but hip hop, you know, just for our culture. But I mean, I think that drill rap, man, it's just that drill rap. It's a place for it. I mean, people telling their stories, and yeah, you from Chicago, you seen that, you lived it. But for that to be your constant diet, I want to go back to hearing something, man. I don't mind a little bit of conscious rap. I mean, I'm a Nas man. I mean, I like Nas can give it to you any kind of way. Black Thought, you know, my mind has to be stimulated when I listen to music, man. I can't be dumbed down 24/7. I don't want to be angry listening to music. I want something to make me feel good sometime when I listen to music. So, but I think we do have control of what we listen to too. So we do. I would say we do to a point. You know what I mean? Because if we controlled the radio and streaming, I don't think we would allow for that to even become mainstream. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy because it's another thing I thought of that, you know what I mean, that I really didn't think about. What, in the beginning, what you heard was what was going on at the ground level of our communities, right? Mm-hmm. So it was the stories that they were experiencing that were making it out and making it onto the airwaves. And that's what influenced kind of the culture. You know, it was almost like for the first time you getting a glimpse of what a day in the life in the, you know what I mean, in these urban environments and in our community, what it looked like. As opposed to now, I feel like they're trying to get a narrative and then force it down our throat. You know what I mean? So it's not us telling the story anymore. It's them allowing a couple of people to get out, tell their story, and then they mass market it, mass stream it, make it mass available. And then that, unfortunately, I think starts to influence our younger generation. Oh yeah, and because you feed into that narrative, and this is the perception that we want to paint. We don't want to show you in a different light. The Cosby Show, that's done and over. We want to show fatherless home. We want to show anger. We want to show violence, and this is what we're going to depict. When honestly, you go into some of these neighborhoods, man, that's a small percentage
Very small percentage, man.
of the total of the whole thing. You know,
Right.
you have hardworking citizens, you have a lot of love, a lot of respect, but that's not what we're going to portray.
That's what's gonna get
We're
out.
not going to allow you to portray this. We only want you to be perceived in this one way.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
So I guess that's gonna be it for our episode, man. I appreciate all of y'all tuning in. Remember, if you're watching this video right now, like it, subscribe. Come on, get those subscribers up. That way, when we go live, which is every Saturday, every Thursday at 7 p.m., you get that notification and you can tap in with us. Hope you find these conversations informational and just different. You know, that's just what we want. That's what we want to provide. It's just another perspective and how we perceive our lives. No doubt, no doubt. And we encourage you, chime in, talk to us, keep talking to us, and we keep talking back. You know what I mean? So tap in.
Peace.